When raindrops fell down from the sky, the day you left me, an angel cried. Oh, she cried. An angel cried. She cried. Alfie, just say you're sorry. We should just do the whole thing as a musical. I mean, I know we've been teasing it for now.
Good Children the musical.
By teasing it to one another that we were going to do it.
It's like we're edging each other on that.
It's just like, because it's like thousands and thousands of investment dollars to do it.
And like, thing about us, we have thousands and thousands.
Right, and that's like the big problem is like, we just like love keeping the thousands. We're afraid to, like, because it's like, what is it? I think we passed 1 billion weekly listeners.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Passed the big
you guys, and I wanted to do like a fun little like cake celebration for 1 billion.
I'm sure you did.
Oh, and what does that mean?
You love baking. You love baking.
I do love baking. And you know what? It is like there's love that I can put into it. Speaking of.
Oh my God, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day,
Andrew.
Happy Valentine's Day, Joe. My little devil.
Yeah, this is a sweatshirt that Andrew and my mom both separately bought me. So I have one at home and one because it was, as patrons know, it was non-returnable. So we have 2 of them now. One's in Massapequa and one's in Brooklyn.
That's actually I'm so happy that you did that.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's like destination.
Yeah, like whenever I need one, I always have one.
Yeah, it's really cute.
It feels like I'm right at home.
Yeah. So like, I know, like, aside from like you playing the devil on Instagram and such, like, do you feel like you inherently relate to devilish behavior?
Well, let's take 1 second and think about my body for a second, and not in that way, not in the good children way. For once, I'm not going to talk negatively about it. I'm going to take 1 second.
Are you about to show
devil horns, devil, right? And then on this side, we also have devil. So I actually like I've been covered in devil imagery.
Keep them off.
I'm gonna keep them like this.
You're taking your shit on the episode. That's crazy. You are covered in devil imagery
for my whole life since I was 22.
I wonder what that is, though. I feel like it's because like we grew up as the good children, but you said devil, devil, devil. I'm bad, bad, bad. I'm rebelling.
Well, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
The first devil tattoo happened when I was 23. It was right before Good Children. It was right before Good Children, and it was post Lonely.
Yeah.
And the devil horns that we bought for that show, and I remember like that was a big pivotal moment. I wrote that song. When pull out my devil horns.
This is the thing
wear them like I'm carrying a cross.
This is the thing about Joe, and like we've all been saying it. He is so talented. You're so talented, Joe. I'm not blowing steam up your ass right now. That's not my intention. The song that has been unreleased is like you're a sick psychotic person for not releasing that song. It's truly one of the best.
It's too earnest right now.
Anyways, devil horns.
Yeah. So devil horns. Got the devil tattoo. Then I got the next devil tattoo a year later. Then I got devil character this summer, and then I got the most recent devil. So I have like 4 devils on my body.
And I can only assume the devil's not stopping there.
I guess it's just I'm very horny.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, the devil's not stopping here.
Speaking of horny. Sorry, I was just trying to pivot. Like,
you were sick of it?
No, I wasn't thinking about you being the devil at all. Would you say that I'm the angel to your devil, or would you say I'm
I think that like that's kind of like I think if you put it in like real, like if in my world, my devil, I would say he in some way there's nothing he hasn't done anything wrong.
No,
he's kind of just like a simple, sweet guy who like needs a lot of attention and like is a little bit self-centered. I think the angel, if I were to create the angel in the world of Jessica Simpson, my devil, like the angel would be the bitch. The angel would be it'd be you. Like not like in the same way the devil is me, no shade. Like the angel would be you, where it'd be like, like kind of came back from heaven. Like it's no big deal.
Sorry.
Like shit. Just, and I'm like, okay, bitch. Yeah. Like it would be exactly that. So I do think that you are the angel to my devil. Angel food cake, devil food cake. What's the difference?
So devil, chocolate.
Is that all it is?
Angel vanilla. I can only assume, like, I feel yes, but I particularly
You
this
made that
angel.
up?
No, I know that devil food cake is chocolate.
Then why did you say you only assume and feel
That-
particularly?
I'm sure that there's like some other element that would make
Like
it
an
devil's.
angel food cake is lighter.
Angel food cake is definitely lighter.
I don't like angel food cake.
No one does really. I mean,
that
like,
what
I'm
it
sure that
is?
people do. It's like
It
whatever.
feels like old, like no shade, like no ageism, no Renee Rapp.
It feels old.
feels like old people cake.
Yeah,
right.
it feels like old people cake. But when you think about angel food with a little whip and some strawberries on top,
Yeah,
oh my
but
god, a
even
shortcake.
it still feels dry. It feels dry. A shortcake is different. Is a shortcake the same thing as an angel food cake?
I would say that you can use a similar base of cake. Yeah, I think you can use for sure. Have you ever seen those ones in the supermarket that's like you walk past them and you're always like,
Sprite?
should I get that?
You know what I'm talking about? The ones that are like, we made this cake with Sprite and Fanta. Stop and Shop used to be obsessed with those. I think it's a Southern thing. No?
What do you mean?
I'm sorry I brought it up. Back to
no, it's
Angel.
okay. That's gonna. My
There's
mind's
some
gonna
bundt
live.
cakes, and they're like Sprite cakes, and it's like you put Sprite into the
Okay,
recipe.
I get what you mean there. No, these ones are the ones that there's 6 in a pack, and like they're hollowed out almost.
Oh yes. I used to always have those growing up.
Because it's easy to just do a little sprig.
Yeah,
of
of course.
whip.
And like my dad on some Atkins or some shit, you know, like you use your no fat, no sugar Cool Whip and a strawberry or whatever you were allowed to.
Weight Watchers.
Probably, it was probably
eats
W
those
Dubs.
up.
W Dubs, yeah, for sure.
And Weight Watchers also, I feel like, loves a devil's food cake.
I'm sure. And I was gonna bring up another cake just now, actually. Angel food cake, devil food
Red
cake.
Velvet.
No, but we could talk about Red Velvet for a second if you'd like to.
I mean, I just feel like it's topical.
Didn't it have its day
it's
in
love.
the sun? It had its day in the sun.
sun.
And I think that I don't think that that's controversial to say.
No.
I think we all loved it. We all loved it. We had Buddy Balestro taking that charge. We had obviously Duff Goldman, Ace of Cakes, for some of us, true stands of artistry.
Yeah.
I mean, that went a step above Cake Boss to me.
And I also think that
Cake Boss was amateur hour compared to Ace of Cakes.
because we're talking like that's like TLC. Like TLC had a
that's the
hold on Red
difference.
Velvet, but Food Network also, like we had some chefs
Cake
there.
Boss was TLC.
I'm pretty
What
positive.
the fuck was I must imagine being Food Network. in
Tender
that
Love
era?
and Care.
Imagine being Food Network in that era. You were shaking in your fucking boots.
Well, there was a lot of
we have
shit hitting
Sandra
the fan.
Lee.
A lot of shit was hitting the fan during the Food Network time when Ace of Cakes and such.
Paula Dean cancellation.
And I was gonna say Paula Dean.
Period.
Red Velvet obsessed.
Well,
Ree
I remember
Drummond
Paula
obsessed.
Dean one time she said, I'm making no, someone else made the cake for Paula Dean, I think. Maybe it was Duff Goldman. I want to say Duff Goldman made a blue velvet cake for Paula Dean. And he was like the only person in the world who would ever ask for a blue velvet cake would be Paula Dean.
Well, that tracks.
I think, but wouldn't that be a weird crossover? Maybe I'm completely incorrect.
Well, because the
Some
thing
older-
about velvet, you can make it any color.
And what is that really?
Velvet?
Yeah, versus Angel and Devil.
I think that velvet, like, I'm interested to know why they call it velvet, because is it a textural thing? Because
that's why I'm asking you. You don't know?
Well, any red velvet cake,
Tell me the
any
ingredients.
velvet cake, you need to add cocoa powder.
Oh.
So it's almost like a chocolate cake, but there's like buttermilk elements to it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily immediately pick up a chocolate flavor from a red velvet cake.
Because it's masked. It's masked. It's masked. Well, think about red velvet cake. It's very masked. But cream cheese frosting. I honestly think this is why the red velvet cake has seen its day.
Because of the cream cheese frosting. I love a cream cheese frosting.
You do. You love a cream cheese frosting until it gets guttural.
No, because to me that's buttermilk. To buttercream. A buttercream frosting, to me, that's where things get sticky. Because at some point you're just eating whipped butter. At some point you might as well just eat whipped butter.
Yeah, sometimes because some people don't know their limits.
Andrew, and I think that you are someone who loves butter in your baking. You're a butter forward chef.
Well, you have to be when you bake.
No, I know. And I'm saying that's not a bad thing at all. But I'm saying, like, for me, like, that's like, I'm about quantity over quality almost always. So if I can only eat one cupcake because it's so rich in butter, I'm pissed. I'd rather have 6 bad cupcakes than 1 excellent cupcake.
Question for you: when you're eating my baked goods, are you saying butter? Like, or do you taste
butter is
butter?
the primary flavor.
You're kidding.
I think butter is like the top note of most of them in a way that like it's signature you. which it makes sense. You're raised on Butter Cookie and Butter Lane, right? Like those.
Yeah.
It sounds like that was the intersection of the streets you grew up on, but Butter Cookie Bakery, right? That's the place.
Butter Cookie Bakery on Long Island.
Butter Lane. Isn't that where you and I did that cupcake baking class in college? Did we ever talk about that?
It's like, why did they do that? It was for my birthday.
Yeah, your mom got it for you for your birthday. You took me.
Listen to how sweet this was. Like, speaking of my little baking expertise, like in college, was it college or high school?
It was college. It was college. It was 2015 or 14. I think it was 15.
I want to like start crying. My mom got me a baking class, like a cupcake baking class for 2, and I brought Joe, and it was like, looking back
friends
on it,
for life we made that day.
I blocked friends her eventually, for life. But why? Because she was like,
she was just in my DMs a lot, and I was just like,
girl, I just met you at a cupcake baking class. Like, lay off.
Like a year and a half ago. Like, I don't know why. That was irrational of me, because I should have just kept.
But you were
in touch.
You're such an like. I'm sorry. Like, I feel like you've went through waves of like, I'll block you immediately.
Yes, but now my issue is I can't even unfollow someone that I met one time 15 years ago.
It's really brutal.
Meanwhile, I used to be unfollowing people who I used to unfollow my aunts, uncles, and cousins.
Yeah.
And like all the time, I would do it, and I would hope they would find out. I used to do it incessantly. Now, if I met you at a party, like in 2021, and we spoke for 8 seconds, and you followed me and I followed you back, I will follow you until the day I die.
Well, that's
birds of a feather.
Birds of a feather. That's a good point. But it comes to a point where I'm like, it's not even like, I don't give a fuck about ratios, right? Like, I feel like there was a time where I did.
It mattered. Yeah.
Pre-pod, like I was like, oh, you can't be following more than you whatever. But now I definitely have been through the least interacted with. I've been trimming some fat.
I feel bad.
No, it's like ripping off a Band-Aid. You kind of just have to go.
Like brands or celebrities, like, which I'm like, okay, you'll never know. You don't care.
But then I'm like, I've been muting a lot, because when you follow so many people, I see them and I'm like, who?
Doesn't it hit you sometimes? Yeah, like every so often I'll see another blonde girl I follow, and I'm like, I actually do not know who you are. I don't know when I met you.
They're my friends.
Probably, yeah. They all are your friends. No, it happens a lot where I'm like, this is a complete stranger. Or I'm like, sometimes it'll hit me where I'm like, I just tapped through 85 slides of a brand that I followed in 2019. Why do I follow this company?
Yeah.
Why am I still viewing this content? I have not bought something from it ever. I'm just here. I'm a loyal story viewer.
Exactly. And they're checking. They're
like, oh, here he
Joe
is.
Hegyes clocked in at the Story Factory.
And I'm like, I actually don't even like why, like, but it's like, you're so used to seeing it that I'm like, okay, that's like Instagram, the app where I see that brand every single day.
Can I ask you a question? When it comes to followers, like if you were following a brand or following a person, it doesn't have to be like recent. It could have been like back in the day, and like you were already pre-following them, but they didn't follow you. Would you ever unfollow and then follow back in the hopes that they would see you?
I've done that like once or twice. I would argue in the past, like maybe like 2 years ago, I was trying to get some people's attentions, and sometimes it worked.
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it worked, and I was like, thank God. But I have recently decided, like, by recently I mean like in the past like 2 years, like, it's not that serious. It's really not that serious. And if I'm only following something to get the follow back, like, that I shouldn't be following the account in the first place.
Yeah. I only ever done that to like who I thought would be the love of my life.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And that's where like Instagram and like skews it, because it's like that person is probably not the love of, well, they could be.
You never know.
You never know. A lot of people slide into DMs and they say that that's where they find the love of their life. Not for me. I'm sliding into butter cookie bakeries. And I'm like,
so
hey,
back to the
baking.
Butter forward
for
you.
Can't believe that. I mean, when it comes to cookies, that's the best way, because you get a nice little crunch and crisp. And I will not withdraw that butter.
And no one's telling you to. No. It's your signature. It's your signature stamp.
And I don't need this whole episode to be about baking, because it will eventually become Valentine's Day.
It's been about a lot of things, honestly.
A lot of things. But I think it all comes back to Valentine's Day, because all of the cakes that we're talking about, they're slightly sexual.
Everything we've talked about has been sensual in some ways. Unfollowing somebody on Instagram. Yeah. I took off my pants already.
Yeah.
Red velvet cakes.
Devil's food cakes.
Yeah, everything.
Butter. Like, okay, let's talk about butter for a second, because if you're going to melt down, there is something about melted butter that's a little bit sexy. No? Okay, so maybe I have an issue.
This is where you push it. This is where you push the limits here, because what are you even are you making a joke?
No, I'm done with it. I'm done with it.
Trying to be provocative and controversial.
But back to buttercream, I will say sometimes people do, and I have a confession to make, because I've been saying I've been a baker for a while now, and like I'm still learning and growing.
Of course, everyone is. If you're not growing, you're not living.
And I'm certainly living, because I am absolutely growing.
I think we had that exact exchange on this podcast before, verbatim.
Multiple times. But I just realized, and this is embarrassing for the bakers and the cooks out there, when I see like confectioner sugar and it says like 32 ounces at the bottom, I go right back to elementary school and I say, okay, how many ounces in a cup?
Good
8.
for you.
That's 4 cups. But no. So I've been dumping bags of powdered sugar in frosting, thinking it was the exact equivalent that I needed to be putting in there. But I needed to actually measure it out, because it's not the same.
What do you mean?
It's not wouldn't you think it would be 8 cups? No, but there's a little bit of fluff in there with powdered sugar that you need to like level off, that if I put the whole bag, it just becomes too sweet.
Okay.
And
I actually
that's
don't
something
follow, if I'm going to be honest. I understand exactly what you're saying, but at the same time, I just have no clue what you just said.
Let me put it into a different context.
Yeah, please.
So recently I made cookies, and they're these crinkle cookies. They're large.
Yeah,
you
I
smack
heard about
the pan.
these.
They're delicious, and I have to make them for you. And I think I actually have a really good Valentine's Day recipe that I can tell later, that I haven't done it yet, but I think it will be amazing.
Okay.
I was making these cookies, about my 4th time making the cookies. Okay, doubling the recipe, Andrew. You need 4 cups of flour. Bear with me. I don't want you to zone.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm losing. See, I go. It's because the moment I hear things like cups or ounces, I don't listen.
No, you go.
I don't want to hear anything about it.
I saw your spirit.
You saw me completely start focusing on the light switch.
But I need you to be.
I'm
with
trying.
me
Okay,
for this.
so fuck.
Okay.
So I'm going to repeat what I just heard.
Yeah.
You were making cookies. You smacked the pan.
Yeah.
Crinkle cookies. You needed 4 cups of flour.
I needed 4 cups of flour.
Okay.
So I was in the supermarket and I saw a small pack of flour that was 32 ounces.
So you said, that's 4
Perfect.
cups. I'll put the whole thing in.
I'll put the whole thing in. Let me make these cookies. Made them as normal. The dough too dry. I made these cookies. They would not flatten. They were so thick and like not it.
And this was because
I poured the whole 32 ounce flour into the mix.
And in reality,
I did it again separately a week later with the same amount.
How much was left over in the bag?
About this much. About a half to a cup.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I messed up. So this is a good PSA for any person out there who wants to follow a recipe. You gotta measure. Don't think you can cheat the system. And that is a lesson in life. Do not think you can cheat the system, because you're smarter than the system. Doesn't work that way.
Whoa.
Good children.
I'm Joe Hegyes.
And I'm Andrew Muscarella.
And this is Good Children.
We've spent the past 24 years growing together.
And now it's time for us to grow up.
Speaking of growing up, and speaking of moving on, and speaking of another holiday that is hitting the books, Valentine's Day is approaching very quickly, I would say.
Yeah, it's in 2 days.
Very quickly, I would say.
In 2 days, I think. It's the 12th today, I think.
Yeah, it's the 12th today, because it's the Friday of Valentine's Day, and that's a perfect
Oh my God, is it? Oh yeah,
yeah,
it is.
that's amazing. It's going to be like Valentine's Day weekend. Like, it's amazing for people.
Yeah, it's Valentine's Day weekend.
Yeah.
And we don't have to get into like
No.
one of the hosts of this podcast,
No.
like long-standing relationship with relationships and the complicated journey, and trial that particular host that's going to remain unnamed has gone through.
You can say tribulations as well.
I would say tribulations. Yeah, hell.
I would say hell. Speaking of devil, I would say hell.
Hell, yeah. So we're not gonna even have to touch on that, because that's like honestly nobody's business.
That's literally nobody's business but the hosts.
Yeah, but the singular host.
Yeah.
Who will go unnamed and undisclosed.
Yeah. Because I think that like for their own personal peace and privacy, like they've said on the podcast before, this particular host, they've said like this is their year, or like this Valentine's Day is gonna be different because like they're gonna have a Valentine. They've said that, I think, on record.
I think they've probably said it like maybe a dozen times.
And I think they've like also said some crazy stuff when it came to like New Year's Eve, and like resolutions and such. I think it's really interesting for them that they still find themselves in a similar predicament year by year.
I imagine it's tough.
I would imagine it weighs heavy on their soul.
And their spirit.
And their spirit.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, that host just knows that, like, regardless of the holiday that comes around, like, that host knows, like, you can bring love in so many different forms, and it doesn't necessarily need to be romantic love on Valentine's Day.
No. Valentine's Day is actually a day for friendship.
It is, but it's a day for that's a good way to put it. It's a day for friendship, minus those that will leave you on that day for an actual romantic partner. So in a way, it's like, yes, it's for friendship, but at the same exact time, it's for not necessarily loneliness.
Do you feel lonely? Do you think this host would feel lonely on Valentine's Day?
I think that this host could potentially feel a slight inkling of,
almost like a FOMO.
I would say this host could feel a slight FOMO since it's a Friday on Valentine's Day.
No, because it's almost like I think this host should be looking forward to this Friday, because it's like, oh, you could probably go out with your single friends and it won't feel like Valentine's Day at all. You know,
did you say you can go out? Oh,
I said the host and the host's single friends could go out.
Yeah,
on Valentine's Day. And I think the host has single friends, so
yeah, the host has single friends for sure. But yeah, I think that's like, regardless of speaking about this person, I think that for anybody, like, it is a day about friendship, and it's about love, and you can find love in so many things, and baking. And I'm happy that we started this episode speaking about the devil and speaking about different cakes and goods, because it's a weekend of love and lust, and for me personally, I don't know about the host that we spoke about, I find a lot of love and joy in baking for others.
Yeah, no, I know you do. I know that you do, and I don't know about the host, but I can only assume the host probably feels very similarly to you. And I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna come out and say it. I have celebrated Valentine's Day many, many times, and that's unrelated to the conversation we just had about the anonymity of our host that we are not going to disclose. I would say to that host, though, that I can understand a bit of a Jordan Pruitt feeling when it comes to Valentine's Day. I can understand that sort of outside looking in that they might be experiencing when it comes to a holiday such as Valentine's Day, St. Valentine's Day. I think only once that window's open, only once you open up the dirty window, and let the sun illuminate the words that you cannot
find for you or something.
Find, I think it just ends at find.
Okay,
the sun illuminate the words that you cannot find. Reaching. Yeah. So like once you reach into something in the distance, I think you realize Valentine's Day is really just
so close you can almost taste it.
No, that's actually not what I was gonna say. I was gonna say it's just actually really not exciting.
No, it's not exciting.
It's truly another fucking day.
Yeah. And I would say to that host, to your point, like, it could be very Pruittian.
Yeah, Pruittian.
It could be very Pruittian when you look at it that way, outside looking in. But I would also say to that host, why can't it be more Steinfeldian? Because when you can learn to love yourself and realize you don't need anybody else, that is where you unlock true life's love.
Yes.
You recognize love in so many other ways besides love for others, but love for yourself.
Yeah. And the great Dr. Haley Steinfeld did really, really, really prioritize that sort of language in her work. She makes you feel seen, heard, and appreciated. And I don't necessarily know if she gets all of the recognition that she deserves. Starving. She's a
horn dog. Let's just say it.
Starving is an amazing song to me.
Yeah.
I think Starving, I mean, I love, what about, oh my God, I was listening to this nonstop the other week just because it is one of my favorite songs. What's the Let Me Go? Love You, Let Me Go? I've been hoping someone could love you in the ways I couldn't. Somebody's taking care of all of the mess I made. Somebody you have to change. I've been hoping someone will love you. Let me go.
That song is her?
Yeah.
She's actually... Yes. She's one of my pop girls.
No, I know. I know. Like, that's the thing about Hailee Steinfeld is there has been consistent work being put out. Although I guess actually some could say unbelievably inconsistent work being put out because it is incredibly inconsistent. Like a song will happen once every 4 years. And when she does do those songs, to die for. TDF.
TDF. Do you think that like she knows she's inconsistent?
Well, I don't know.
I don't think that she should be. Something's up. Like
something's up.
I would, and we've talked about Hailee Steinfeld on this podcast. At least we have proper through lines. Like we always we stick with the same people, and we'll talk them for the rest of our lives.
Yes,
and we'll obviously
she's enigmatic. She's truly a mystery.
She's a mystery, and we'll talk about your you. If we talk about you on this podcast, you are not safe, and nor is your family. Like
Hailee Steinfeld's dad.
Dad, obviously,
who looks like you in the future.
But that's what sucks, and I think I've said this before. What sucks to hear about that is that makes me recognize, oh, maybe I do want to fuck myself.
And do you think that maybe, and because it's interesting, because it's really interesting you say that so plainly.
You're losing. You're like you just like lost.
It kind of just took me for a second to really settle back into reality. I'm thinking about Hailee Steinfeld's father and the proclamation that you just said that you would like to have intercourse or just I guess relations.
Courses.
Yeah, with him. And specifically that he looks like you when you're older. And I have to wonder if part of that is almost a wish fulfillment. It has nothing to do with Hailee Steinfeld's father. It has nothing to do with the fact that he is a personal trainer and looks the way he does.
Yeah.
It is simply that you see a successful, happy, older version of yourself. And you say, I need to have that. I need to experience that because I need to be him. And I think that a big part of the gay experience is, do I want to be him or be in him? You know, and that's kind of like we're looking at Hailee Steinfeld's father, and maybe you're thinking that.
I could be thinking that, but then I also think like there's something about like, he's a boxer, right? Like he like boxes. I
think perhaps.
I think me seeing something like that, it's like, do I want to be in him or do I want to be his punching bag? And that's a completely different side of the coin.
And that's another conversation to have.
A completely different conversation. But I get what you mean. Like maybe I am fantasizing a life that I don't have.
You know what I mean?
Like inserting myself literally into that life would make things better for me.
You would feel like maybe you were the father of Hailee Steinfeld, which I think if that was the case, and her son,
she'd be a little bit more consistent.
Well, I'm sure she would have no choice but to be more consistent.
Be an ice skating.
That girl
lesson.
was in True Grit at like 11, actually. So I think that's exactly what would happen to Nutella Muscarella. I think Nutella and Totino will both be working at the age of 4 months old. In the industry.
Yeah,
they'll have no choice
together.
Yeah. Michelle Tanner, Mary-Kate and Ashley. Nutella and Totino.
But and I understand that the child workforce is like. It's horrible. It's horrible. Like you could they're put in crazy situations, but like I would make sure that as a helicopter parent that I would be like I would need to be with my kids and I would be with them and I'm making sure that they're in therapy and I would talk to them and I would hope that they were happy.
So you're already preparing that your kids are going to need therapy from the work they're doing as 4-month-olds.
I think my kids are going to need therapy upon being birthed. I'm going to
the life they're being born into is not going to be an easy one.
No. Talk about inconsistent.
Yeah.
It's going to be highs and lows. It's going to be highs and lows for them. But at least they'll know the difference between angel and devil's food cake.
Yeah, that's important. That's very important for them. I just think Hailee Steinfeld, if you were Hailee Steinfeld's father and your other child was a race car driver by trade, I think you'd be pretty happy with your life. Pretty happy. Pretty pleased.
I think that we could probably get the father on the pod if we wanted
I think after some things that were said earlier in this episode, it might be harder to lock that deal down. in the DMs.
Do you think that we also just lost Haley?
We lost Haley Steinfeld, I would argue, Andrew, 3 years ago. We already made reference to her and her father incessantly, I would say. And Lonely, actually. Happy 3 years.
Happy 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't gone away. It's always stuck with me like glue. Speaking of something sweet. Speaking of
stuck on you. Stuck like glue.
A cancellation that didn't happen.
Were they canceled?
No, they weren't canceled. I just still feel like her breakdown is
in that song
patois,
right?
Is just patois, and it's like one step too far.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I get that she got lost in the beat, and it happens. Like you just lose control, and you feel like you're going with the rhythm of the music.
It's Sia. Look at Sia.
Look at Sia. And that's why she doesn't show her face. But
she shows that face a little too much
now,
at this point. She changed her mind a little too much. Every dinner party.
But imagine like being a person who is like, I'm never gonna show my face, and then you do for the first time. That's so you.
It's so me. And then like immediately, like I'm wearing massive wigs and like pimping out Maddie Ziegler, and then I'm like, actually, I'm here, you guys, and I'm ready to sing at Kathy Griffin's dinner party,
and
full
like,
volume.
Who is that? They're like, oh,
that's Sia.
That's Sia. Yeah. I mean, listen, she did her thing.
Gonna swing from the chandelier.
You can't, regardless of what you say. Like, and I know there's a lot of things about Sia, right?
A lot.
And like, I see Sia for who she is. Who she is.
Mm-hmm.
You can't deny there's emotion in those chords.
There's definitely emotion.
There's emotion, and there's like the way that she sings, like I'm unstoppable. I'm
a Porsche with no brakes.
Is that what she says?
I'm a Porsche with no brakes. I am powerful.
I take back what I said. I take back what I said. I didn't know those were the lyrics. And sometimes it's better to live in the dark.
Yeah, well, of course. Isn't that Plato? Allegory of the Cave. You familiar with that one?
Joe, of course. I was a political science major with a philosophy like almost minor.
But wasn't that for like a semester until you got caught cheating and then you got almost taken to the honors council, so you had to change majors?
Yeah, I mean, like it was almost a blessing in disguise, because I'm so sorry to the philosophers. Like that was just not for me. Like John Locke and Plato.
Yeah, why were you possibly going to do that? Philosophy really does not seem like your tea.
No, like I'm not thinking like that. I'm sorry. Like it was really a struggle. It was so hard for me.
Why were you doing that? Why were you doing that?
Joe, because I literally thought that was like the track that was for me. Like I thought that I was going to be in politics or something. And I thought that like philosophy would help me with like when it came to like lawmaking.
You were a philosophy minor?
It wasn't a philosophy minor. It was the class that I was taking. It was the politics of philosophy.
Well, I also took a philosophy class in college, if that's what you're just saying.
No, but it's the foundations. You have to start with politics. You start a lot in philosophy. So it's the politics of philosophical thought.
Name some.
I was basically doing John Locke. I was basically doing...
You were talking about John Locke pretty frequently at that time. You were.
Joe, I was 18.
His name was in your mouth incessantly.
I was 18. I was reading these books. Well, I mean, reading is loose.
Yeah,
term.
you were spark noting.
I was spark noting. And like, thank God. You know what I mean? Like, thank God they had those resources for people like me.
I love reading right now.
Like, I'm happy for you.
Thank
like,
you.
I do believe, like, in modern day society, you would be considered more of the philosopher. I would be more of the orator.
Some stuff. You say, orator.
I'm an orator.
Yeah, you're definitely an orator.
I want to speak. I don't want to fucking write shit down at all. If something goes in my mind, I want to say it out this throat. I don't want to put it down to paper. I can barely write with a pencil at this point. And that's a problem. That's something that I actually wanted to talk to you about when you were like, because now that I've been doing a lot of research, historical research for our Patreon, I've been doing a lot of writing. And when I'm writing quick, I've lost touch with my writing capabilities because I don't write often. I'm writing words.
It's so important to journal and to write.
It's so important.
It's really important because like that's a skill that we are going to lose as a society, and it's going to lead to cognitive decline in a very serious way. So please, everyone listening at home, pick up a pen and paper and do a morning page every single day.
Yes.
Just 15 minutes of free thought, please.
Please, God, because you're looking at cognitive decline in the eyes right now. And I'm writing letters out of order. And
that is truly cognitive decline.
It's cognitive decline.
Yeah.
From form. That's not normal for me. So something's up with my brain, clearly.
Well, Andrew, yes, of course something's up with your brain. Of course. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Of course. You've been running on autopilot. It's like a 10 out of 10 energy all the time.
But you know what?
No rest for the wicked.
But you know what? The thing about autopilot, it is constantly going.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But sometimes you'll experience turbulence, and that's okay.
What do you mean?
But one day I'm gonna land this plane, and I think that everyone should be really scared for that.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Buckle up. Fasten your seatbelts.
And
make sure your personal items are under the seat in front of you.
But I know that my plane, those stewards, they're amazing. And there's snacks aplenty.
Are they called stewardesses still?
I think that...
Flight attendants?
Do you think that, like, maybe that's... Do you think it's a problem?
I think it's of the past.
Who is steward?
I don't want to have this conversation. I really don't. I really just don't.
Do you think that this Valentine's Day and be so serious, like maybe like to your point of journaling, maybe like I spend a little bit of time the Valentine's Day weekend, because when we were talking about that host previously, I can only imagine that host would be in a similar spot as me.
Yeah.
So
but it's not you.
But
well, we can't confirm or deny. But
no, we're not talking about that. But I think I can do a good job journaling this Valentine's Day, and also maybe writing some love letters.
Well, I was to yourself.
To myself.
And maybe everyone who's alone on Valentine's Day should take themselves on a date.
Yeah.
Just treat yourself like you want to be treated. I mean, that's the whole thing, you guys.
How do you want to be treated?
I don't need to worry about this. You know what I mean? I have a boyfriend who treats me very well, and I feel like I'm in a pretty solid place. So this is not something I'm thinking about, but I do think like when you are on the prowl for a partner, you like it is like you put so much faith in this other person coming to save you and coming to make your life better. But it's like, truly, that's no one's job or responsibility. And to put that pressure on a person is what leads to like a quick breakup or just not getting past the dating stage, because you are like, this person coming into my life is the missing link. This thing is actually going to fix all of my problems. Like, I'm so lonely. I don't have this thing. Like, this is going to save my life.
Yep.
No, only you can do that.
Well,
only you can do that.
We've all seen Tangled. You know what I mean? And that, like, movies like that will fuck you up for the rest of your life. Because, like, you can feel like you're isolated in a tower for your whole life, and you can feel like your hair is only growing, and you might be the most stunning person that you think is existing, but, like, no one knows that. And then there will be someone who just, like, shows up down from below and, like, will scale your literal hair to come save you and then fall in love with you.
Okay, well, I'm just going to explain the plot of Tangled really quickly, because clearly you don't remember it.
That was good, though, right?
Well, that went completely against what I was saying, but also you were incorrect about the plot of Tangled. So Tangled I think would correlate to my point, which is Flynn Rider is climbing the tower because he's running because he stole a crown from the kingdom because he's a thief.
Okay.
And then once he enters the tower, Rapunzel almost kills him with a frying pan.
Yeah, I remember that part.
And then she says to him, she steals the crown and says, she takes her destiny into her own hands and says, you are going to take me to see the lights, and I will give you your crown back once you take me to those lights. So it's not necessarily that a man comes and rescues her. Okay. She says, I'm going to use this person to get to my own goal. And then when she gets to the lights, those two big men kidnap Flynn Rider because Gothel wants to kill him. And then she gets back up in the castle. Gothel's like, you're never coming out of this place fucking again. Like, this is you're mine forever. And then Flynn tries to save her. Flynn gets stabbed and he's almost dead until Rapunzel.
This is not the tagline.
Rapunzel then saves his life. Like, he cuts off her hair with a horrible bob, an indescribable bob, and then she cries, and that tear saves his life, and she kills her. So
I take back everything I said, but you know what I do remember about that movie? She was waking up way too early to get things done.
7 a.m. the usual
morning lineup. Like, girl, sleep a little bit. You don't have anything else to do. Exactly. Go to bed.
Sweep again, and by then it's like 7:15. Like, so I'll read. She was so me. She was so me, except for the waking up part. Like, she was so me. Like in high school, like
the sweeping.
Yeah, like reading a book. But she's like, I'll read a book or maybe 2 or 3. I'll add a few new paintings to my gallery. I'll play guitar and something and basically just wonder when will my life begin. That's the whole. That's like, isn't that exactly what I was just saying? Like, you're waiting for this person to save your life. Like, when will my life begin? I'm waiting, and then this person comes and they actually are not that.
So I take back everything that I said.
You are in charge.
Maybe I was thinking about like
the original, probably the original.
Maybe like Cinderella.
I'm sure the original fairy tale was written in a much less progressive way than Tangled, the 2012 film.
This is the problem with becoming progressive. I'm kidding. I take that back. I don't think we've given ourselves a second.
And that's for the best. And because God forbid we thought.
God forbid we thought. And I really do believe that this episode is becoming like, this is a deep dive into what our brains look like. Yeah, because
on one Sabrina Carpenter espresso.
It's like, because my body is shaking.
Yeah.
My body, Joe,
profusely.
The way the fountains have started on these rolls, Trevi. It's like, it's Trevi. It's like Hidden Valley. Like, you can't even believe. You know what I mean? Because Hidden Valley, I feel like has a lot to. No, it's just because I said Hidden Valley because I thought my rolls were like the hills of the valley. Never mind. That's where my brain went. All right.
No, yeah, no. I'm not judging you. I'm just wondering why you want to say that on the podcast out loud.
I've said a lot of things on this podcast out loud.
I know.
All right. And sometimes the reason that this podcast is sometimes people, I can only assume listen for what we have. People listen, period. But like, you really never know what's going to come out.
Yeah, you never know.
Never know. And come out of any single part of me.
Don't you want to do better?
I do. I do want to do better. And it's like, why does this have to be the Valentine's Day episode?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, what if there was a potential like lover or suitor that was listening?
Well, I'm going to get back on my fucking soapbox and say, actually, that person better be okay with you saying gross, disgusting shit like that. Because otherwise, what are you going to censor yourself for your partner?
You're right,
They better find it funny or endearing. Because otherwise, that's not your partner.
I was just recently having this conversation with somebody, and I think it's a constant conversation that I'm typically having.
Yeah, of course.
And I do think that others maybe I can help heal others while having this conversation with you.
Yeah.
But I firmly believe in my heart. I think that I can look at myself and say there are many parts of myself that I do love. Right. But I do believe when it comes to putting yourself out there, it's really hard to think that other people might like you or love you for what you portray out there. Because it might, to the listening or the viewing eye, be like considered nutso, crazy. But to your point, Joe, yeah, that person's going to love me for being sick in the head.
Yes. Yeah.
And that might heal the sickness.
Well,
no, I don't need to look
at to be healed.
I don't need to be healed.
Someone to play doctor and heal your disease.
Heal me.
She loves disease. It's crazy. She's obsessed with sickness. Every song is about sickness.
Why? Like, you know what I mean?
I want your love and I want your disease. I can play your doctor. I can cure your disease. Heal me if I can find the cure. I'll fix you with my love. That's 4 songs right there.
She can't stop. And what do you think that is? Why is she constantly doing that? And there's people
Sickness is a big thing for her. She's chronically ill.
We've all seen 5'2".
We've all seen 5'2".
And
she is sucking joints down like it's her job, and that's
oh my God. I'm like
every 10 seconds.
I've never seen. I can't imagine how much money she spends on weed. She probably doesn't even see see it hit her account. But how is she functioning as
it's because she was in a lot of pain during
she was Joanne. In a lot.
Physical and mental. Her friend was sick.
No, she's really endured a lot.
She's so like one really little part about that documentary is when she's like, and she's talking to like her art designer and her fashion director, and she just takes off her shirt and just has her tits out. And she's like, "Sorry, I'm just more comfortable here." I'm like, "That's so me."
No, I'm sorry. It's like that is actually so you.
It's just out of nowhere. She just removes her shirt.
Listen, sometimes you got to smoke that many joints. Not for this Valentine's Day.
You're not gonna get high.
But why are you saying it like that? like why are you using a condescending?
Sometimes I could just tell, like when you get in front of the cameras and you lie, I feel like I'm Meredith Marks. Like when the cameras are up, we got to tell the truth. We got to be authentic. You know what I mean?
I mean, I might get, maybe I'll get a little high.
Okay,
maybe I'll get a little high.
That's all I was saying. That's all I was saying.
Because you know what? In those situations, it's like, I've went through breaks. I've took a break. I came back. And then if I'm going to find some sort of creativity when it comes to my baked goods, I'm going to do that. And I know I'm making crinkle cookies this Valentine's Day. And I know I'm adding cherries. I know it does sound sad in retrospect. It's like, oh, he's making crinkle cookies with cherries this Valentine's Day. Like, why did the cherries put it over?
The cherries really put it over.
The cherries put it over.
Oh, I know I'm adding cherries. Maraschines?
No. Okay, let me just walk you through this really quick because I think this is a recipe that I'm gonna say is mine. So I'm making the foundation of the crinkle cookie. It's just like, it's thin, but I'm gonna add like a tart cherry, like they're bigger, and you're gonna chop them up a bit. And instead of using a semi-sweet, I think I'm gonna use a mix of semi, milk, and white with the tart cherries chopped up. I think that's gonna be genuinely so good.
That sounds delicious.
And I think it has elements of Valentine's Day, because when I think Valentine's Day, I think chocolate and I think fruit. I think strawberries. And Joe's saying about people shouldn't send me food. Don't send any more food to Andrew.
That's not remotely what I said. I said we do not need. But I said specifically, and this is off the record because it's on the record because we're saying it, but this was on the Patreon. I said if Chef Boyardee specifically wants to send us dozens of cans of Chef Boyardee, to please donate that to a soup kitchen is what I said. I want to make that so clear because I am going through my own personal journey with how much waste is sent to influencers. And I think maybe we could probably reallocate some of those resources to people that really need it, because I don't think that me nor Andrew need cans of Chef Boyardee.
And just to paint the picture, Chef Boyardee has not reached out.
Chef Boyardee
so it's
is not interested.
It's like Chef Boyardee is not even in the picture. And it's like what I gathered from that, Joe, and I'm sorry. And I do hear your point, and I do think that you make a lot of sense. And I think that is important. I was saying if there was someone who to send some chocolate covered strawberries.
Right. And that's where you took it to that direction. I just didn't feel like it was worth continuing our conversation on Patreon, because then you said, I have some stuff coming this week. I have some small businesses that I want to support. That's different. That's different to me. Sure. But if it's a corporation, give that to somebody who fucking needs it. Please. Please.
I wouldn't be keeping the cans in here. I wouldn't be keeping. I would give away the cans. Don't worry. Okay? Don't worry. And maybe I can sort through them on Valentine's Day.
Chef Boyardee, please don't send us cans. Please.
While you're out, I'll go through the things and I'll take notes.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What are you talking about?
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm losing sight of reality.
Do you have a favorite Valentine's Day movie?
No, I don't watch. Remember Me?
That's a 9/11 movie, so that's a hard answer to give to a light question.
50 Shades.
Okay. Why are you so angry right now? Let's talk through this frustration.
Okay.
And if you really want the Chef Boyardee PR delivery, I'm sorry.
No, I don't want.
Go ahead.
I don't want the Chef Boyardee delivery. I don't want the Chef Boyardee delivery, and I don't know why I'm getting agitated.
You're really upset, and I can tell I really upset you when I said that I don't think we need 24 cans of Chef Boyardee in our apartment.
No, but
if you want it and you're going to eat it.
I don't think it's even mad. Story. I don't even think I'm mad at you. I honestly don't even think I'm mad at you. I think I'm more mad at myself.
Well, why?
I think I'm more mad at myself because, to your point, yeah, I am accepting a lot of I'm accepting a lot of deliveries, and oftentimes I keep them. And I keep them for myself.
And that's no shade judgment towards you. I mean, I only just recently had the thought that I don't need these things. So I think
hot Cheetos.
The hot Cheetos, I think we all understood that was a
low point.
Well, it was a low point, not in delivery. It was just what happened with the hot Cheetos was a low point. Where they slept was just surprising. Yeah, they slept. The size of the box that stayed in our apartment for 6 months instead of just being broken down.
And I am broken down and tired.
And tired.
And tired of living life on this merry-go-round.
Yes.
But merry-go-rounds are very fun.
Merry, quite contrary. We're so bored, so we'll get married. And just like dust, we settle in this town.
And I know this is
great. I can't even think about that song.
I can't even think about that song. Like, it makes me sick. Like, to go through her entire family and talk about them, and then be like, my life is just like actually formulated for me. I'm just gonna get married and live in a trailer park, basically. And there are points though of that song that I'm like, maybe I should just get married.
It's like, you just want to rise out of me. This is what I was saying to you the other night. Like, you just want me to be upset. Like, you just want me to have some response. So I'm choosing lately to just let you say these things.
You're right.
Go ahead, get married. To whom?
I could just be a single father.
It's okay. But and at that point, Chef, please send the Boyardee. If Andrew announces he's pregnant, please send the Boyardee, because he's going to need it to support the kid. Yeah. It's going to be a scary go round.
Are you thinking it's a scary go round, like,
financially?
Yeah, I'm doing not well.
If you want to throw a kid into the mix?
I think that
kids cost like $1 million in the United States, like, over the course of their lifetime.
You're right. I definitely think it would be a struggle at the beginning, but you know what? Like, you make it work.
Well, of course. Child. Yeah, I'm sure you will. I just don't know if maybe like this week is the time for you to start making it work for a child.
At 32.
Yeah, and that sounds much healthier to me. Give it
you
a few
think
more
that
years.
Like 4 years from now, I'm going to be okay to have a kid?
Well, I'm not even going to be living in this country, so.
And I'm going to have 5 kids. You won't be living in this country. I'm going to have 5 kids, 3 dogs, and 2 cats. And I'm going to be, I'm going to be in the middle of the country.
Good.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Great. That part's great.
I know my love is not
That's
here.
the least concerning part of that whole sentence.
My love is not in New York or LA. I can tell you that.
Why?
I just feel it. I feel pulled towards the middle of the country.
Okay, where? Ohio?
Yeah. I do think that, like, I feel someone in Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio, it might be blurred with, like, Idaho.
Okay. I just found out where Utah is.
Joe, that's sick.
Well, I always thought it was the very north part. Like, I thought it was at the top row.
It's like to the left.
It's like dead center, dead in the middle. I mean, it's to the left. It's like left center, right? You know what I mean?
Are we playing a game now?
It's literally like right there. It's like right next to California. I'm shocked. I was gagged. I was like actually really surprised to see.
Isn't it like, I think, and there's no shade, no tea to this. And
I'm happy to.
By all
means,
like
to lean in.
If I was to go through a 50 states test with you, I would get 21 right.
Yeah.
But that is the problem with the education in this country, is like, you didn't even know where Utah was, and you're one of the most knowledgeable people I know.
Well, thank you for saying that. Utah specifically just gives me, it should be next to Washington. Do you know what I mean? And it is
to the
in
right.
some ways. It should be to the right directly to the right, where I think Montana or the Dakotas are.
Yeah, the Dakotas are like, that's where you lose me.
Right, because there's a north one and a south one.
And like I actually, if you're a North Dakota or a South Dakotan listener, like, I need you to step up, and I need you to raise your hand, and I need you to say we're here, because I don't think that we would necessarily be able to pull a live show in North Dakota, but I need to see it.
Yeah.
I need to see it. I think 50 states soon.
Do we have any listeners in Perry, Oklahoma? Reach out. I'm writing a book, and the main character is from Perry, Oklahoma, and I actually need to do some research. It's not that Perry's not in it, but the main character is from Perry.
Ree Drummond is about to come running to you.
Perry, Oklahoma, I need someone, and I probably need some other things. I'm going to start using this as a real research facility.
It is a great research facility. I think that you can meet a lot of people.
Does anyone work for an oyster preservation nonprofit in New York that I can volunteer for?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm trying to think about what are some of my goals. If you work at Chef Boyardee, I'm kidding. I'm sorry, like, I had to, but anyways.
Oh my God, we're gonna get the biggest Chef Boyardee PR package.
Yeah, I want to like go to the facility. I just know so much about him at this point that, like, it would be remiss for me not to continue my education.
To see Hector Boyardee. You should see Hector Boyardee's grave. You should go to where he's buried in Central PA.
I'm gonna make my whole brand Hector Boyardee. Like, I'm gonna, like, I think that if I was to start telling,
cease and desist soon.
Begging for a cease and desist. I just want someone who wants to desist me like that.
Who wants to CC you like that?
Yeah, they want to CC me like that. And like, they may desist, but I will persist.
Well, then you're getting sued. If you persist from a cease and desist, the next step is suing.
Yeah, but there hasn't been a sue I didn't like.
Are you sure about that?
Oh my God, Sister Sue. Yeah, Sister Sue put me out. Yeah,
Jesus, she wasn't even a nun.
I've been trying to look good, but like I've been lately looking like shit, and I can recognize that.
What do you mean?
Like, because I've been wearing a lot of hats lately. I think I'm like at a point where, like, I'll wash my hair and then like I don't have any product. Like I've been waiting on my product, and like I just don't go to the store because I'm lazy. So like I'll wear my hat, and then I've been doing this like respect thing lately, where it's like take your hat off in a restaurant, like back in the old days.
Yeah.
Ever since someone said something to me in Tampa, it's kind of just like ruined my mental state. And I'm like, yeah, I am disrespectful. So I've been taking my hat off like in restaurants, and then like it will look like this, and like I just walk around like that.
I think that it's crazy to have to take your hat off in a restaurant.
But what did you say? Like, where did the respect come from?
Well,
there?
it's rooted in like white supremacy.
Okay.
And shit like that. Everything like that has a nasty root. So it's like, I mean, in fine dining, I'm not going to wear a hat.
You're right.
Anywhere below that, I'm going to do as I please.
You're right.
I'm going to do as I please.
I was just trying to show some respect. Like, it kind of shook me in my boots when I was in Florida. I was like, I'm sorry.
Who said that to you? A stranger?
A stranger at a restaurant, who worked for the restaurant.
Most recently in Tampa?
Yeah, when I was in Tampa for 10 days.
You didn't tell me this.
At Tampa Extravaganza.
You wore that hat?
No, I didn't wear the Tampa hat. I wore a different hat. I wore the Von Dutch hat. I wore the hat. I wore it to this like rooftop bar. It was a bar. And we sat down from some appetizers. I got a tap on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, sir, no hats." I was outside. So that really put me in my place. And I like a dog rolled right on its back, and I said, "Whatever you want. I'll take my hat off." And then it continued. Now I'm back on Long Island. I'm back in New York, and I'm taking my hat off in restaurants. Anyways,
Whoa.
Should we take a call?
Yeah, I mean, that just really surprised me. There was a few things surprising about that.
Hey guys, love the podcast. I've listened to every single episode. I just wanted to get some advice. So I have a friend group. We've all been close since we were in elementary, middle school, high school. Everyone kind of has different timelines, but we usually go to a friend's parents' house for the holidays. Everyone flies home. They host us. They cook. They get us presents. This is cute when you're a teenager, right? You show up. You have a found family dynamic. But we're now in our late 20s and or 30s. Nobody except me brought a dish or gifts to our host's home. Is that not tacky? Is that not tasteless? Didn't come early to set up, didn't stay late to clean, and didn't bring anything, not a bottle of wine, nary a loaf of bread. And our friend's parents have been hosting us since we were children. I'm just looking for advice before I pop off on everyone because I'm known to do that, but maybe some insight will help. Love you guys. Bye.
Wait, okay. I just need to say I'm obsessed with her.
I want her right here.
Yeah.
Every
because
week.
I'm shocked to hear that you pop off because the way that you spoke, the tone was so calming and reassuring.
She's us combined.
That's exactly what it is. It's like she will pop off. But I know that the holidays have happened, and maybe this. I mean, I'm sure it will continue to happen. I'm in disbelief. There is
I'm
not
kind of dissy,
and maybe that's the way that we were raised. But if I was to go to someone's holiday dinner or holiday like extravaganza,
which it sounds like it was.
It was an extravaganza, and you're not going to bring a bottle of wine
over a decade-long tradition. No bottle of wine. At
this
the very
the
least.
First year that you would. I wouldn't show up to your basement party without something in my hand.
Forward dish.
Exactly, without a butter forward dish. I would never do that. That is tacky and that is classless.
It is tacky. It's classless. I think it's interesting that nobody brought anything. Like even when it's like just the girls coming over, like everyone messages the chat and they're like, "What can I bring?" And obviously then you say nothing, don't come with anything, and then they come with something anyway. That's just kind of like That's just kind of how it goes.
Like a snack mix. Bring something that you can nosh on, or a
jingle
drink,
jangle
or like
popcorn.
Even if you brought a
something.
6-pack of something,
Yeah.
and there's 6 of you, you'll each have one. Oh yeah, take one if you want.
Yeah.
No, that's like, and if you haven't popped off yet, I would definitely consider like
a little poppy.
I would even maybe test it out. Maybe say I'm gonna be planning something coming up, you guys, and see if anyone offers to bring anything.
So you want to go the most passive way possible.
Well, that's me.
The most passive and complicated way possible, which is I'm
Having
going to host
an
event where I want people to come to me to test if they bring something.
Sometimes you need to test your friends.
They were tested and they failed.
But do you think there was something off that was happening?
That's what I'm saying. Something doesn't sit right here.
It sounds like
Something
whoever the organizer was like, hey,
it's the parents. They've been doing it every year.
Oh, it's her parents?
No, it's one of the friends' parents, and they've been doing it every year for them since they were teenagers.
But then I'm thinking that the parents had to tell the girl and who
everyone but
maybe that's a separate
Susan
conversation.
Sharon, who called in.
Sharon, who called in.
So Susan Sharon, our caller, she was intentionally excluded. What you're saying, she was excluded from a phone call or a group text. Yeah, where everybody else was told, "Do not bring something with and do not tell Susan Sharon."
Not even a Ruffles, like that to me. If you're not even bringing like a chip, a Ruffles
with a little sour cream and
onion
dip.
Sour cream and onion dip that you can get from like you can get literally made in the store, like something was said.
I don't know.
Maybe it wasn't said, but it was feeling. It was felt.
I'm curious to know. Traditionally, have things been brought in the past? Have people been bringing things in the past?
Or has it like been?
No, I don't know though, because she's saying since they were kids, like when they were kids, they wouldn't think about it, but now they're adults.
I wish you elaborated on the dish that you made.
I would like you to call back in. I know that you called in on December 28th.
She listens to every episode.
Yeah, so you'll obviously, Susie, you'll hear this. And then call up, you're going to say, it's me, Susan Sharon, about the dish. And then please circle back, because we'll get to that in mid-March. We'll talk about that. So please. We'll have this conversation going up until next Christmas. So don't you worry.
I'm tired of rumors starting.
What's your rumor this week?
Oof. That's a really good question, Joe. My rumor this week is just because I'm on season 5 and I just talk about it day in and day out. And I know that Joe's talked about it before, but it's Desperate Housewives. And every single time, and it's interesting to see who's culturally like in the know about Desperate Housewives, because you would think a good amount of people, but then I'll be like, oh, I'm watching Desperate Housewives. They're like, oh, which season, which franchise? I'm like, not Desperate, real, not real, Desperate.
Right. And there's a very, very clear delineation between the two. Yeah.
Because I'm like,
one's an art form, one is a piece of journalistic media.
I actually can't even believe like I haven't watched it up until this point.
I know.
Like it is genuinely, I can't believe it's
one of the best shows of all
episode.
time. Yeah, it's one of the best TV shows of all time. It does not get the attention or credit it deserves in the slightest.
Are any of them, besides Lynette Scavo in real life, are any situation here cancelable? Has anything happened?
Why you gotta ask me this?
I don't know. Just because I just feel like
here's a few. I can tell you a few things about the cast member, the main girls. Obviously, we know Lynette Scavo, played by Felicity Huffman, was involved in the college admissions scandal. She went to prison. She's out of prison now. We also know Eva Longoria. She sells the hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic, and she does amazing hair care products.
She's amazing.
She's gorgeous. She's amazing. I love her. She was always my favorite on the show. She's still obviously so successful and slays today.
Marsha Cross. She still looks amazing.
I'm sure she does. And then we have Terry Hatcher. And Terry Hatcher, my voice, if you go back to a long ago episode of Who Weekly, I called into Who Weekly about Terry Hatcher being rumored to live in her van. Because an article had been released, pictures of her living in a van. And I called Who Weekly and I said, like, Terry Hatcher is rumored to be living in her van. Like, what do we do about that? And then Terry Hatcher issued a statement.
Not living in the van?
Well, she was doing like a van life thing. Like she was like a volunteer. She was like choosing.
So
yeah, like I'm doing this for fun. Like
I live in a van.
So I think that's all I could tell you about all of the Houseies, all of our queens. I couldn't tell you what's new with Brie. Not with Brie, with Edie.
Oh, Edie, yeah.
Whose name escapes me, which is crazy because I also should know her name.
Nicolette Sheridan. She was in something not that long ago and she slayed in it, I'm pretty sure. Or
I can't speak to that. I don't
Carlos can get it still. So, but I was watching it the other day.
What season are you on?
Garrett was like, "You look just like Carlos." I was like, "No, I don't." Like,
what
stop
season
doing
are you
this.
on?
Season 5.
So the time jump happened?
The time jump happened.
Were you gagged?
I was gagged.
Were you gagged?
I was gagged at
Juanita.
Yeah.
But who's Demi Lovato's younger sister?
Really?
Yeah.
I actually was like, this is really obviously it is sad. Like they're writing this character in for that, but like they're giving her
it's really tough, and she's spoken about it.
Yeah.
And she actually would be an amazing guest on the podcast because like her entire childhood was framed around like I'm not cute.
Yeah. And like, oh, maybe you should go up for a second slice. This is my second slice.
Yeah, no.
And it's like the biggest slice you've ever seen.
Literally watching that show
I can't.
At that age.
Nope.
I was like, oh, me? Representation finally. And it was Juanita. I love her.
Maybe all I needed probably when I watched that as a kid was seeing a gay Andrew.
Yeah, no.
I think I was like, his pivot too, crazy. Anyways, that's my rumor this week. So if you are not watching Desperate Housewives and you have some time on your hands, it's not even time on your hands because you're going to want to keep going. That's just true.
I don't know what my rumor could possibly be this week. I mean, you know what? I don't know if I've ever talked about him. My favorite YouTuber, Serpa Designs. Have I spoken about him?
No.
He's my
You've
fish
talked
tank
about
king.
Ryan Trahan.
My fish tank king.
No.
Serpa Designs.
You might have talked about Serpa, but not in a rumor.
He is just an angel. He is a god amongst men. He is the sweetest, sweetest, sweetest man. He is designing such intricate, gorgeous fish tanks. He has an outdoor ecosystem that he did a whole series on this summer. He is just, to me, a genius, a visionary, and he's so humble. He is just clearly making art for the sake of making it because of the passion that he has for his fish and his frogs and his reptiles and his amphibian and his amphibians and insects. I love this man. I do watch his videos almost every single day. So soothing. If you're into fish tanks in the slightest, even if you're not, give it a shout. Give it a check it out. Give it a shot. Serpa Designs. Otherwise, yeah, I've just been in my room.
He has been.
Just been in my room.
He has been. But I want you to know, you're clicking away. I don't feel anything.
Well, I'm glad because it's really not about you. I'm writing.
Sometimes I would feel like if your door was closed, you were mad, but you've been so pleasant lately.
I've just been writing.
Yeah.
I've been clicking
You're
away.
tuned in.
My rumor this week is Dream Life by Joe Hegyes.
It's been my rumor for a while.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been being revised.
Yeah, it's consistently roomed.
It's yeah, you're in that room. Anyways, wow. That was an episode that was like,
what was it? Like it's and this is the problem with this podcast. It's like, how do I title that? What thumbnail is that? Like, like and that is, I think, one of our biggest
psychosis.
Issues. Well, that's the problem. Like, people don't click into that. Like, the biggest issue that I face when it comes to Good Children is the titling and the thumbnails, because it's like, our listeners listen, but if you're a new person on YouTube, or you're on Spotify and you come across something, like, what's going to make you click in from that episode? Because it's arguably incredible episode.
Incredible. One of the best.
I can't title that.
One of the best episodes of media you will ever watch.
You need to watch this.
You need to watch. I think it's just titled, You Need to Watch This. Yeah.
All right, I'll think about it.
Something about like lonely. Something like you have to like lean into something that like someone in their darkest hour.
If you're in your darkest hour, click on this.
Yeah,
that's good. That's our listenership. That's perfect. I love that. You guys, we are going to be in a few short days, in literally a week. We are going to be in your town.
In Indianapolis on February 19th. There are tickets still available, which is
I had
shocking.
No idea we were going on a Wednesday.
On Tuesday in Indianapolis. Wednesday we're going to be in Chicago. It's going to be the 20th. And the 21st.
What day of the week is it?
And we're going to be in Indianapolis.
We're going the 19th, 20th, 21st.
Yeah.
Wednesday the 19th.
Oh my God. So Friday is in Madison?
Yeah, we're Friday night in Madison, Wisconsin. It's a Friday night in Madison, Wisconsin. And
I'm in
Wednesday,
shock.
New episode comes out, and then you see us that night.
Come on.
Amazing.
It's incredible.
But this is your last shot to get tickets
for
real. Get them for your bestie. Get them for your boyfriend, for your straight boyfriend. Get them for anyone who you think would benefit from this podcast, or who just wants to have a fun, like, hour and a half with
Yeah.
the girls. Like, it's the winter. It's bleak. Like, it's a bleak time. We're coming. Like, we're going.
Coming. All I have to say is, like, we have a lot of fun things in store, and it's gonna be interactive. You're gonna be giggling. You're gonna be gabbing. You're gonna be like dancing. You're gonna be up on your feet.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, what we all need in February is to be up on our feet.
Get on your
feet. So that is that. But regardless, don't forget to do your homework, okay? Like, comment, subscribe, rate, review. Send it to your friends. Send it to your parents. Send it to your ancestors. Send it to your lineage. You know what I mean? Like, send it to your kids.
And don't forget, you can join us every single Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a brand new Patreon episode. Plus access to over 150 bonus episodes, plus access to our chats.
Yeah.
And you know exactly where to find us.
Across all social media platforms at Good Children Pod. I'm on Instagram at Andrew Muscarella, on TikTok at Andrew_Muskie.
I'm on Instagram at Joe Hegyes, and on TikTok at Be Quiet Joe.
So with that, we love you.
Go with light.
We see you, and go with light.
When love takes over.
Yeah, yeah, and no one can deny when love takes over. Yeah, yeah, there's something here tonight, 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 tonight.
Kelly Rowland.